My vulnerability has given me so much strength and has fired my passion to create pieces that help people. Seeing how art can really impact people in a very positive way has changed my outlook more so than anything. Being vulnerable is a very positive thing if you're strong enough to harness it.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today, Candice.
Thanks for contacting me to talk to me about it. I'm super excited.
Well, it was one of those random moments when I was at Minishin's recital in Montreal, and I saw you, and then I saw you get called up as the graphic designer for her album cover, I think, in her poster. Yeah. And I just always think there's these serendipities of like, oh, so I'm there for Minas and I just had interviewed her. And then I saw you and I said, I'm just going to keep running with this.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm honored that you thought to reach out to me. I'm pretty humble, so I stay in my own little world here in Eastern Ontario. But working with Minna has been unbelievable. Every time she gives me a project, she just allows me to go and do what I do best. And she does what she does best. And we just work really well together.
One of the things that I became curious about, and I'm going to ask you just to talk a little bit about the graphic design work you do and how you got into that, and then how that led you in, or how you got started, at least in stained glass. I'm really curious about that.
How the jump happened from graphic design to stained glass.
Exactly.
Went to college, graphic designer, graduated, moved up to Ottawa, and landed an amazing job as a graphic designer and worked my way up from there. So it was something that I was very passionate about, being in graphic design in Ottawa. I loved a lot of the jobs that I did, but it wasn't feeding my soul. I'm an artist at heart. I like to work with my hands. My father taught me how to do woodworking and fix everything. So I was self-sufficient. So I was always hands-on things. So the graphic design wasn't fulfilling that need to be really hands-on. Although I enjoyed the challenge of creating images, it just wasn't the creative that I needed to keep myself going, I guess. So it was actually an accidental by chance meeting. My mother had purchased some artwork from an artist up in Ottawa that worked with stained glass. And since I was living up in Ottawa, she asked me to pick it up for her. And when I went there and I met the artist, we just had a lovely conversation. And I didn't know that stained glass could be utilized that way in the non-traditional leaded church-style windows. I kind of stay away from that traditional leaded stained glass. That's for other people to explore. But when she showed me the possibility of creating with stained glass and recycled elements, it just called to me. Growing up in an old home, like a century-old farmhouse in Apple Hill, Ontario, I had a love for old windows and old things and just making stuff out of old lying things around. So it kind of became a little obsession. I'm like, I need to learn how to do this. And that artist and I worked in partnership where I helped her develop her visual campaign and her logo and the look of her business. In return, she would let me work in the studio and create. First day that I was there, she knew that it was something different because she just showed me to cut. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. And went in a different direction that she was going. But we worked together for about a year while I was working as a graphic designer, and it just became an obsession. I would take elements of Illustrator vector artwork and create it in glass, and then hone those grinding skills and challenge myself artistically with stained glass, how I can incorporate my visual ideas as an illustrator on the computer and translate that into glass. It's so much so that I started bringing my glass to my work I worked at a really amazing place that was like an old chalet in Mechanicsville in Ottawa area. And they allowed me to hang out my artwork there, and they encouraged me to do so. And that then led to all sorts of other stuff within the business. And the company that I was working for as a graphic designer actually had a new client who was doing life coaching. And that's where it all started, was the life coaching, asking, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I didn't see myself working in an office doing graphic design because it wasn't the really creative stuff I wanted to do. It was very business oriented, lots of government stuff. So you don't get to be really artsy and out there. And it just wasn't feeding that need of being creative. I wasn't happy. But my boss at the time was unbelievable and very supportive and encouraged me to explore what I needed to do further. And what we found out was that I needed to open up my own business and start teaching this. Couldn't afford to do it in Ottawa, but I have family in Cornwall area that was close by. And my boyfriend, now husband, we bought a house at the time and moved down to Cornwall and took the chance and decided to, let's just try it out. 24 years old, I was very naive, very ambitious, and never looked back. It's been a wonderful journey. You got to feed that creative soul.
Nice. I'm curious about comparing those two different areas of work or practice. And I was just curious about the difference between having a client and goals you need to achieve in your graphic design work versus, I'm assuming your stained glass is entirely self-directed, but I don't know if you also do work for clients.
Yeah. So when it comes to graphic design, the clients always give me a certain direction, depending on the project that you're working on. For example, with Minna, she would give me the music and we'd have a lovely conversation, as we always do. And basically, she just let me do my own thing. I would present it to her. So she had trust in my artistic abilities and interpretation that I would produce something that's reflective of her. Some other clients, it's a little bit more specific and we're working within a certain look that they're going for. Then I work within those parameters and try to make the images pleasing to my eye within their ideals. Even though it may not be my ideals, it's their project. They're hiring me. So I'm just the medium to create the visuals that they need as a business. And then sometimes they don't know what they're looking for. So we'll have conversations and have ideas going back and forth and brainstorm. And then we'll go in a certain direction and then they'll just let me do my creative thing and come back and then we tweak it from there. As for the stained glass, I get a bit of direction from the clients, but they know the style that I'm working in. So they come to me knowing that we love your artistic style. We want something that's like that. But let's say it's a flower. I had someone come to me to do some poppies for a glass window. And it's not just flowers when I create flowers. There's always something else behind the images that I'm making. It's not just a pretty flower. There's a lot of heart that goes into it. So when I'm working on a custom piece for clients in glass, it's a very personal piece. It's a lot of my soul in there. So I'm a very emotional person. And that's part of why people come to me. I show my vulnerability in my artwork. And sometimes it just comes out when you least expect it. So I've learned to accept the fact that I can easily tear up. But that's a strength because not everybody can express their emotions that way. So I really like to take something simple as a flower and turn it into a very memorable piece for the client to then enjoy for the rest of their lives. So a flower is more of a symbol of love for someone and the journey that they've gone through on their lives. and different lines that I put into the design will evoke that emotion as well.
Thank you for sharing that. And sometimes I ask because I come from a background, I have the kind of mind that's very verbal, right? So I'm very word oriented. And I'm wondering if it's possible for you to explain in words, just how would you describe what it is about those poppies that you could look at them and say, those are my pop. Like, I know I made those poppies because I can see whatever it is about yourself that you're sharing through that work. Can you describe that in words?
Oh, that's the difficult part. That's where I struggle most, because that's why I'm a visual artist. So anytime I've tried to write words about myself or a bio or anything, it's the most frustrating thing. But if I could draw a picture, it makes sense. But if you were to see that particular poppy piece, you would know it's mine from the fluidity of the lines and the preciseness of the grinding, because I'm exposing the edges of the glass and I'm really trying to mimic a illustrative, like Adobe illustrative quality to the pieces of glass. So when there's two colors together, there's a gap between that would usually have the leaded to hold the two pieces. I remove that. I don't use lead at all. I just use a gap between. So I'll have about, let's say, an eighth of an inch gap that's between each piece of glass to create a design within the design. So I think that when you see a stained glass window without the lead and there's this fluidity of the lines between the glass, that's indicative of my work. It's something that I really like to be precise and conscious of, and looking at those small details is very important, because that's what I am. I'm very detail oriented, and those lines, even though they may not seem like an important part of the design, are a major part of the design. They're the background that kind of supports everything else without you even knowing. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does. It does. It does. I mean, I've looked at examples of your work, and even behind you, I can see the heart in the frame.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a really beautiful kind of delicacy and fragility, but not like that it's about to break, but this just, it's so delicate, but there's a beautiful flow. And in the colors that I can see behind you, it's stunning. It's really pretty.
Thank you.
Yeah. I shouldn't say pretty. Sorry. It's very powerful, actually.
Thank you. That's what caught me with glass, is that it's a really interesting medium because it's a solid, but it's also a liquid, and it's everything in between. And when I first started out in stained glass, it was just the solid cutting stained glass. Over the years, I've incorporated fused glass. Fused glass is in between stained glass and glass blowing. So stained glass is cold, glass blowing's hot. In the middle, you have warm glass, which is fusing. So I'm melting glass in a kiln, similar to a ceramic kiln, at about 1400 degrees Fahrenheit. And between 1400 and 1500 Fahrenheit, I'm melting glass. So I'm changing the shape of glass. So the heart that you see behind me is actually broken pieces of glass that I've then placed together as a solid heart, but that's been stitched together. And there's an inscription on it that says, "Make peace with your broken pieces." And that's one of the, that's a piece that's very powerful. So I use art as a way to heal. And I lost my father unexpectedly a few years ago. And I've been struggling with that. So I actually stopped creating for a few years. And there were some other personal tragedies that had happened within that time that just stopped me from creating. But that heart has brought me back to life. And it was one of those things that was it healed me. And I kept it to myself for a year. And I didn't want anybody to see it because I didn't want people to know how much I was hurting. But as the year went on, I decided this is something I need to share with people, not letting them know what my hurt was, because everybody's got their own hurts. But I just felt, I'm like, this is something powerful. And I was coming up to an anniversary of my father's death. I'm like, I'm going to put it out there on social media. And I think other people are feeling the same. And the response was overwhelming. It was so overwhelming. I didn't know what to do with myself. I had orders coming in like crazy for them. And I think within an hour, I had 10 orders of posting that particular piece. So I had only made a few of them and with different sayings, but that one with the make peace with your broken pieces was the top one. So I started to create those for people, but making them individually and then with intention for each person. So everyone that had contacted me, I created individual hearts for them based on that. And the stories that they told me break my heart. It's like therapy, I guess. I take on a lot of people's emotions, and then I just try and put it out in my artwork and work through it that way. So the heart has been an amazing journey. I absolutely love it, and I'll continue to make it for people over and over again because it's done amazing things for me. I look at my own every day. It's that first one I keep. That's what's behind me there, is to remind me that, you're going to be okay. And you're helping out a lot of people. So that kind of changed the direction and how I create things now, that I know that my art is not just pretty things on the wall or in the garden. I actually have an impact on people to help them through whatever stuff they're going through, whether they're purchasing my artwork, something special like the heart, or they're coming in to take a workshop with me and just escape for a little bit and forget about the everyday life and come and explore with me.
That's amazing. It's really amazing. I want to shoot myself for saying pretty earlier. You have no idea how much I want to cut that out, but I won't.
Oh my goodness, God. No worries. It is pretty stuff. I know it, but it's more than just pretty.
It is absolutely stunning. I mean, it caught my eye as soon as we went on camera. So it's a really, really beautiful piece. And I think I might
check it out on the website and you'll see some good detailed pictures and everything.
I might have to make an order, actually. So how much of your work is interacting like that with clients? Like, that's a very personalized service. Like, that's a collaboration really with you and the other person. You have at least that person in your mind and your heart as you're creating each piece. Is that a lot of what you do?
No, that's just part of what I do. So that's just one really heavy area that I enjoy doing. The other part is just creating things that make me feel good, that I think people would enjoy, but not just what people enjoy. I'm like, what would I like? What do I think is something that would be enjoyable, for a Christmas decoration or for just putting out in the garden? I do things that resonate within my heart and bring me joy. And I hope that brings other people joy. I like to create things that make me happy and are maybe a little quirky. Like, I've got lots of garden ornaments and little garden stakes that I like to decorate around. And I had a series of eyeballs.
That's good.
I get compliments on my eyes all the time. I've got very blue eyes and people are always drawn to me. And I'm like, you know what, that's part of me. So then I'm going to give part of me to you. So I started creating eyeballs. And there's just an eyeball on a stick. You stick it in the garden. So it could be your evil eye, ward off your spirits and like negativity and all that sort of stuff. And just have fun with it, whether you believe it or not. It brings some joy to everyday life. When I come home, I've got my eyeball and my potted plant outside my front door. And it's like, hey, it's nice to see you. So it's really just, I don't create for what people want. I create for what I want. And what I want seems to be what people like. So I just keep doing that. So it's scary to do that, to put out some things like the heart or the eye. It's, not always everybody's cup of tea, but I'm not trying to sell to everybody. I'm trying to do what I want, and the people that appreciate what I do will come to me, hopefully, and go from there.
Where do you think that confidence comes from? That kind of ability to just stand there and say, I'm going to make what's true to me, and the people who resonate with that will find me.
Thanks for the compliment on confidence. I'm actually not very confident. I was very concerned about doing an interview today. I'm like, why would she want to talk to me about my art? It's really not, what's the big deal? But then as I speak to you, I'm like, no, it does affect people. So it is something special to people. And, I'm not famous. I'm not looking to be famous.
I'm not famous either, Candice. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're two non-famous people talking to each other.
Love it. But we love what we do, right?
Yeah.
And I think, instead of striving for, I'm going to be the best at this in this field and get all these awards, I'm like, I don't fucking care, to be honest. I don't care about awards. I don't care what people think I should do, because it just doesn't feel right. And I've tried doing what people want me to do, and it comes out like crap, and I won't do it anymore. If I have a commission, someone come to me with a commission and looking to have something made and it doesn't feel right, I will refuse the commission, because it's not fair to them, because I don't have my heart in it, and it's not fair to me. So the confidence, I guess, it seems, I guess I am confident in my abilities of what I can do, going out in person and talking to, the social anxieties, that I lack a lot of confidence. I can hide it pretty well sometimes, but over the last few years, I have found I do like to stay home a lot more. I like to hide in my little world and just create. That's where I thrive and where I'm most happy. But the confidence, I think, would be from my parents, that they were always the driving force behind me and the art that I do. They were always supportive and never said, you shouldn't go into the arts and get a real job. They always supported me, and my father especially would always say, oh, here, Disney's doing this here in Toronto. You should go to this school or try that out. And so my parents are the ones who really, truly gave me the confidence to do whatever I wanted. And I just take that giant leap and try my best. And so far, so good. It's been almost 20 years now, I think, that I've been doing this. Yeah, because I was 24 when I started, and don't do the math. So
that's great. You mentioned earlier that you give classes also. So can I ask you what you enjoy or what you get out of teaching other people how to do?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Class?
Oh, I love teaching people. Because I guess I like building up people's confidence in these types of things. I always enjoy taking workshops and classes and being creative and learning all sorts of stuff. But there's things that would be lacking in those classes that would be the encouragement or things like that. So what I love with my workshops is encouraging my students who have already taken the chance to try out a new art form. I mean, you're coming in to try stained glass. I've never done it before. And they talk to me, oh, don't worry about it. Beginners are welcome. I'll teach you everything. And I do every time. I make sure the projects are simple enough so that people leave not feeling frustrated, but also that they're leaving with a piece of artwork that they're going to, one, enjoy the experience, and two, have a beautiful piece that I hope that they love and hang and cherish, that they're proud of. And some of the work that people come out with, they surprise themselves, whether it's a large window and it's just stained glass and gluing, or they're coming and doing a fused glass project. And that's what I'm doing more of, is fused glass. So people are amazed. They have to wait a week. After they come and take the workshop, they've got to wait a whole week until they get to see the finished piece. And when they do, their minds are just blown. So what I get out of the workshops is seeing the confidence and joy that people get from learning the new artwork, and that I'm passing on some more knowledge, or that I'm helping them escape for a day from whatever shit they're going through and get through it, because I understand it. Art is an escape, and it's the best escape. It's for me the healthiest escape of all.
What would you say to somebody who walked into your class and they started, and then about partway through they said, "Oh no, I'm hopeless. I can't do it. I can't. I'm not good enough. I can't figure out how to fuse these things together. It's not working."
Happens all the time. It's amazing. It happens all the time. And then it's just a matter of, I'll actually get them to walk around the table and look at it from a different perspective. Walk away from the art. Just walk away, take a breather, look at other people's stuff, mosey around, and then come back to it. And if they're still feeling frustrated or they haven't seen anything, then I will get in there and physically move a couple pieces around and see how does this feel, and get a feeling for what they're doing without trying to take over their piece. Because I'm not there to do that. This has got to be an expression of themselves, but I don't want them to be frustrated in the medium. But there's a certain point that everyone's going to get frustrated at a certain point. I get frustrated when I go and do a painting workshop. I mean, I'm probably the worst student there because I'm an artist. I'm like, it's not working out. But I know that this is not my final piece. I'm going to enjoy the process. So I try to remember, make it enjoyable for the person to enjoy the workshop. And it may not be their favorite piece when they're done, but it usually is. They're usually quite surprised at what they've created afterwards. So it's just a little gentle helping or nudging along the way, or seeing it from my perspective and explaining to them what I'm seeing, so that they start to look at it a little differently and maybe be more open to what they're doing. And if it really is complete garbage and they don't like it, then we just kind of take the pieces off. Let's start again. What's your favorite color? And go from there.
Especially that idea of, because I took drawing classes in person before COVID, and it's astounding how you can get so stuck and you can't see what you can't see anymore, what's in front of you. And if you step away, and like you said, you look at other people's, you go for a coffee, you do something, you just break away. It's such a great life lesson too. You come back to it and you were like, oh, I couldn't see that at all. And now I see this completely differently. Now I see I can do something with this. Okay.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and it's such a joy to see when they do overcome that little obstacle, because I've been there in my own creative process, that it's like, I've got this idea and I'm really trying to get this through, but I just can't work on it, can't get it done. Walk away always helps.
You mentioned painting. So is that something else that you pursue on the side, or is it something you take just workshops here and there?
Yeah. No, it's where I started. I started out as an oil painter. So traditionally, I used to do all the drawing classes, pencil. That's my background. Is I learned from an artist out in Eastern Ontario as a child, and did oil painting for years. So it's just something that I will take a workshop, or someone's doing a paint night and we'll have fun. But it's not something that I've gotten into a lot recently, but it's something that I think is starting to call me back into just doing something that is purely just for myself. So if I paint, it's only for myself. No one gets to see those. But who knows down the road? I mean, I do call my business Melting Pot Studio. So I just keep throwing things into the pot and kind of evolve as we go.
And so we started by comparing a little bit the work as a graphic artist to your work as a glass artist. And then I'm just curious how you express yourself in painting. How would you compare that to how you express yourself with glass?
Completely different.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah. Glass is very precise. You got to plan it out. But you also have to be willing to let it go a little bit when you're fusing glass. So as soon as I put it in the kiln, I know kind of what the results are going to be, but sometimes glass can be unexpected in heat and do things you don't want. As for painting, I just go for it. I just dive in. I'm not planning. I'll finger paint. I've used body parts to paint. I'm just, going crazy because it's my let loose outlet that if I don't like it, well, I'll just paint over it. If this isn't working out, okay, we'll just let it dry and paint over it. And it's a real abstract type deal where it's almost frantic, I think. I go a little wild and a little too far with my painting. It just gets a little messy, which I enjoy, but it's not very good. I don't like my paintings normally.
Oh. It seems like the subjects are very different. So in your glass work, it's representative in a way. It's flowers, it's eyes, it's hearts, it's things. Yeah. And your painting is abstract.
Yeah. But I'm looking at. I'd like to start doing some portraiture work, more self-portraits if I get into painting again. So that's kind of way down the future when the kids are a bit older and I have a little bit more time where I'm not having to create my art for business and for that sort of purpose. When I have a little bit more time for myself, then I've got things stuck in my head, but it's just not enough time to get them out.
I'm not even, you've been so open. I'm like, what else can I ask her? This is amazing. It's like in about 20 minutes, boom.
Oh my goodness. Thanks. Yeah, a lot of just, it just all comes flowing out. That's me, I guess. Once you get me talking, then I expose myself to you and what I am like. I'm an open book pretty much. I shouldn't say I'm an open book. I'm fairly private when it comes to family life and all that sort of stuff. But when you get me talking about art and what brings me joy and that sort of stuff, I go out. I'm full out talking. I could go on and on about my artwork because I just love what I do. And I hope I get to do it for the rest of my life. I mean, I'm still young. I don't see me stopping anytime soon. I hope to expand in the future. You know, one day I would love to have my studio outside of my home. But right now, at least I am teaching outside of the home. So I get to work with a friend out in Lancaster who has a yoga studio. And that's where I teach my classes now since the whole COVID incident. I'm not having people come to my home anymore. So it's been a real change. It's been quite nice.
Well, there's another layover into yoga, because I can see those things going together really nicely too.
Yeah. Yoga is a big part of my life. It's what helps me get through and create pieces like that heart. It makes you go into your brain and think about things that you don't want to, but also work through it. I just read a little quote, a little inspirational quote. Grow through what you go through. And it keeps sticking to me with that. That's like, yeah, that really sucked. That really sucked. What did I learn from that? Okay, yeah, this has changed me in ways that I can't even explain, but it's made me more powerful than ever before. All that shitty stuff, really, you can either go down with it or you can rise above it. And I chose to rise above every time, even though I might have a little lull. That's allowed. You come back out and you come out of the darkness and you see what's there and you just keep rolling with it. You learn from it and it makes you a better person. And the yoga has definitely helped me with that. It kept me strong physically, but also mentally keeps me focused on what I need to do and what keeps me sane and happy.
You know, when I asked you before to describe in words what it is that you see maybe of yourself in your work or how it is you express yourself through your work, because I'm not sure it's actually possible, but it's more, you know, in a conversation, when I see you, I hear your voice, I hear how, you know, I see your heart behind you and all of those things together, right, communicate to me what it is about you that comes through the work that you do. And I love that you highlight the connections that you make with people, that becomes something that you share with others, and then you feel back from them what they experience through your work. And I can't imagine how special that is.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah,
it's an amazing feeling when someone comes to you to purchase a piece of artwork, and you know, whether it's something that I've just made and they love it and they buy it, or if they're coming to me for something special, that's a big step to do. And it's not something cheap to be able to do, because you're hiring me for 50 plus hours depending on the project, plus the materials, and for them to trust in me, something very special to them, is quite an honor. And I'll always be honored every time someone asks me to make something for them.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Sarah. It's been a pleasure talking with you. It's been very easygoing, relaxed. Like I said, I'm getting nervous for these types of things, but it's been very easy talking with you. I've absolutely enjoyed it.
Well, I didn't see an ounce of nerves, so totally fine.
Because I talk about the art more than myself.
Well, you talk about yourself through art. I mean, you show who you are through your art, which is wonderful. Thank you so much, Candice. I really appreciate it. I wish you a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Sarah. You too. I'll have a wonderful day. Thanks to you.